Hai, I Siti Nur Akilah Humaira binti Azman, metric number 2024-239154.
My name is Suhaira Hadira binti Suhaili and my student ID is 2024-229424.
My name is Nur Natasha binti Fauzi. My ID student is 2024-669826.
My name is Siti Nur Anisa binti Kamaruzaman and my ID number is 2024-648166.
My name is Amiratul Atira binti Muhammad Asri and my student number is 2024-284-172.
Assalamualaikum Miss. Today I want to share insight from an article published by The Age Malaysia which discussed the impact of protectionist policy on Malaysia trade. The article highlight concern over potential protectionist measure by United States such as import tariff and renegotiation free trade agreements. This measure could negatively affect Malaysia export growth, considering the US is one of our significant trading partner. While this policy might provide short-term benefit to the US economy, their long-term effects are predicted to be harmful for both domestically and globally. Asian countries, which account for 70% of the US good trade deficit, are likely to feel the burn of this policy. Malaysia, being part of this region, risks losing out if such measures disrupt global trade recovery. Worse, if countries like China retaliate, it could escalate into a global trade war, threatening Malaysia's economic stability. In conclusion, the article emphasized the importance of understanding the broader implications of protectionist policy and global trade and how they can challenge Malaysia's economic growth. Based on that article, what is protectionism? Protectionism refers to government policy that restrict international trade to help domestic industry. Protectionist policies are usually implemented with the goal of improving economic activity within a domestic economy but can also be implemented for safety or quality concern. Here are common tools of protectionism and their application in Malaysia. Firstly, tariff. Tariffs are tax imposed on imported goods to make them more expensive. In Malaysia, certain agriculture products such as rice are subject to tariff. This helps protect local farmers from cheaper imports and ensure the stability of the domestic agriculture sector. Second, import quota. Quota restrict the amount of specific goods that can be imported into the country. For instance, Malaysia has import quota on sugar to regulate supply and support its domestic sugar producer. 3. Subsidy. Subsidy are financial incentives provided to domestic producers to lower production costs and improve competitiveness. A prime example is the subsidies granted to Malaysia palm oil industry, one of the country's most important exports. This subsidy help palm oil producers remain competitive on the global stage. 4. Import bans. Malaysia enforced import bans on certain goods for public safety, health and religious reasons. For example, the government has strict bans on non-halal certificate food products to cater the predominantly Muslim population. 5. Administrative barrier. This include strict regulation or standard imposed on foreign goods. Malaysia, for instance, has strict labeling on quality standard for import electronic, ensuring that local producers have an advantage and consumers receive safe product. I will now pass it over to my fellow friends who will explain the reason behind protection policy and discuss their advantage and disadvantage.
Now let's dive into the reasons of protectionism. The reason of protectionism is to improve domestic economic conditions. Import tariffs and renegotiating free trade agreements can help boost the domestic economy in the short term by first, stimulating job growth. Protectionism can help maintain or create jobs in certain industries in Malaysia that might otherwise struggle to compete with cheaper foreign goods. By reducing competition from imports, local companies are less likely to shut down or lay off workers due to the influx of foreign products. For an example, a Malaysian electronics company might struggle if cheaper electronic components from countries like China are imported. US tariffs on foreign electronics could make locally manufactured Malaysian electronics more competitive, helping preserve jobs in the Malaysian electronics industries, as there would be a higher demand for domestic products to replace expensive imports. Second is protecting local industries. By imposing tariffs or import restrictions, the US can make foreign products more expensive. This encourages consumers and businesses to buy locally made products, benefiting US manufacturers. Similarly, Malaysia could see this dynamic within its own manufacturing sectors. For an example, if the US imposes tariffs on imported electronics, Malaysian electronics manufacturers might see a rise in demand for their products. As foreign electronics become pricier for US consumers, there could be an increased demand for more affordable Malaysian-made alternatives, especially since Malaysia is a major player in the electric and electronic E&E industry, as highlighted in the article. Reducing trade imbalance also is the reason of protectionism. A trade deficit occurs when a country imports more goods and services than it exports. The US has historically had a significant trade deficit, especially with countries in Asia, including China and Malaysia. It can reduce the trade deficit by imposing tariffs or other restrictions on imports. The US aims to limit the amount of goods it imports from countries like Malaysia, which could reduce the US trade deficit. As a result, Malaysia might face a reduction in demand for its exports to the US, particularly in industries like electronics or palm oil. For an example, if the US imposes tariffs on Malaysia electronics or palm oil, the demand for these products could decrease, negatively affecting Malaysia's export revenue. It can also promote local manufacturing. By limiting imports, Malaysian companies may shift focus to manufacturing more products domestically, which can create more jobs within the country. For an example, if Malaysia imposes tariffs on imported electronics, local manufacturers such as those producing components for the electronics industries may be motivated to increase domestic production to meet local demand. This could lead to the creation of more jobs within the Malaysian electronics sector, helping to strengthen the country's manufacturing base, especially as demand for locally produced electronics rises.
Hi, so next I will present the advantages of protectionism. The first one is protect job creation and protect employment. So in the context of the article, protectionism by larger economies like the US could lead to shift in global trade dynamics. So for Malaysia, if protectionist measures were adopted in response, so they might aim to protect industries like manufacturing or agriculture, which are vital for employment. So by imposing tariff or quotas on imported goods, foreign products more expensive or limits their availability. It also can encourage consumers to increase demand for local products, and when it happens, domestic firms experience higher demand, so they may expand their operation, resulting in the creation of new jobs and the protection of the employment. Next, the second advantage of protectionism is protect domestic industries. The article notes that protectionist policies might improve US economic conditions in the near term. This suggests that countries imposing such measures can experience immediate economic benefits, such as safeguarding domestic industries from foreign competition and boosting local employment. So by imposing tariff or providing subsidies, these industries may receive temporary relief. It is also allowing them to develop and achieve economies of scale. And lastly, it is also can enhance their competitiveness. Once these industries have matured, they may be better equipped to compete on a global scale.
Third, protection of industries. Sometimes, governments impose trade barriers to protect domestic industries, and this is especially the case for infant industries and for developing countries. Without any protection, infant industries most likely will find it difficult to compete with international companies or more competitive foreign industries, and so protectionist policies might stay in place until those growing industries are big enough. However, with all the protection, those domestic industries could suffer from the curse of protectionism, which is not becoming competitive enough. Either they continue to have a lower quality of goods or service and higher prices.
Lastly, disadvantages of protectionism. Firstly, higher import costs. It can occur as a result of protectionist policies like import tariff, which increase the price of goods entering a country. What causes of higher import costs? It is when import tariff and renegotiated free trade agreements increase the price of imported goods. These policies will disrupt global trade dynamics, making it more expensive for countries like Malaysia to import essential goods. Based on the article, Malaysia February 2017 trade data, Malaysia imports grew 27.7% year-on-year in February 2017, reflecting the strong trade activity. However, protectionist policies could increase the cost of imported goods like machinery, raw materials, and consumption goods essential for Malaysia's domestic production. For example, the article notes a decline in consumption goods import, down 0.6% year-on-year in February 2017. If tariff or trade barriers increase, the imports of these goods might become even more expensive. The effect of higher import costs is increased cost for businesses and also reduced demand for consumers due to increased its negative long-term impact on the global economy. A global trade war or sustained protectionist policy can lead to several long-term consequences for the global economy. First, slower global economic growth, disruption in trade flows, tariff and trade barriers, reduce international trade volume, leading to weaker global economic activity. Export-dependent countries like Malaysia suffer due to reduced market access and lower demand for their goods. For the second point is, higher prices for goods and services increase cost of production. Trade restrictions drive up costs for raw materials and intermediate goods, making final product more expensive. Businesses pass these higher costs on to consumers. It will be causing inflation to the country. The long-term effect, it will reduce consumer purchasing power and weakens global demand.
Last but not least, high cost of job creation. While protectionism may save or create jobs at home, it may also slow growth and lead to price inflation as domestic goods gets more expensive. The possibility of inflation means any job creation that results come at a steep cost. According to those opposed to protectionism, a better strategy is to create a system of trade agreements that could benefit all involved.